Hi, this is Rohin Bachwani, and welcome to my Masterclass.
Hello, all. I am Kshitij.
And I'm Dave.
Welcome to this segment of Masterclass on MCET podcast. Let's welcome our guest for today, Mr. Rohin Bachwani, batch of 2010.
Hi, guys, my name is Rohin, and I'm a marketing associate in the artist partnerships team at M Theory LLC in New York. So, just giving a little background about my company, M Theory is a company that gives artists the freedom to define success on their own terms and empower them to achieve those goals on a global level. I'm a part of a team that manages a roster of entrepreneurial artists such as Major Lazer, Flume, and Petit Biscuit.
So, what we wanted to ask you is, so what was your driving factor after school to pursue music industry, as that is not one of the most generic options or the career paths that people choose?
Yeah, you're totally right. I'm just looking like at my journey. It makes me really appreciative of where I am today. So DJing was never a career move. When I went to my parents for the first time wanting to take DJing classes, my idea was totally shot down. My parents were, and I quote, why do you want to be this Ghana Bajana kind of person? Like, what will our neighbors say? What will our family think? Like, it was a complete no from their side. Um, I saved up some money and convinced them to buy me a DJ controller, like as a toy, to like just like play music at home. So I started playing to like my bedroom curtains and recording sets at home. And one day I got an opportunity to play at a club in Mumbai. Like it was a opening slot, if I remember correctly, and like the timings were 9 to 10 p.m. And the only people in the club were like a couple of maintenance guys and technicians. And without thinking about anything, I just got into the zone and started playing. And a few club promoters ended up coming at the club to collect their money from the club manager. And they saw me DJing and they were like, we are going to give you more opportunities. I started like DJing on the weekends, and my parents had no idea what was going on until my college results started staggering. My parents wanted me to like focus on my studies, which I did. I graduated with a bachelor's in financial markets, and I was on track to pursue my career as a chartered financial analyst. So I failed my level one and I was totally devastated. But on the bright side, I got like a gap year, was completely focused on going out there and playing as many gigs as possible. I remember I was playing like for birthday parties, I was playing for fashion shows, I was playing anywhere I had the opportunity to play. My parents like came along and they were like, as long as you want to like continue DJing, you better get a day job. And I figured out a way to like get this job, and I started working at Submerge as an artist and tour manager.
Okay.
If that answers your question.
Yeah, that is
Yeah.
phenomenal.
So I
All
have
right.
this fun follow-up question. Like you started DJing. So what was your first experience when the crowd went crazy, when you dropped that bass, or like that's the kind of emotion you had when you were like, oh, the crowd is going nuts for my song. And so
All
what was
right.
your experience?
It sounds really dramatic, but like the amount of times I had to practice and the number of hours I put in, like just like days and days of just playing music to my bedroom curtains and just like no one there and like just playing music to myself. And as I said, when I started off, there were barely any people in a club. So I was just trying to get as much time as possible behind the console. So when crowd actually started coming, and it's a very slow process as a DJ, you never get to play like the main slots. You're always like an opening act where you barely have any people, and that's a very like a tricky and tough spot, because as an opening act you can't play the main commercial songs. You have to like set it up quite well for the main act to come out there and play the best tracks. So it was It was difficult, but I like thoroughly enjoyed the process. But like there was one point I was playing a show. I still remember that's one of my best shows. I was playing with Nikhil himself at a college festival, and there were about 15,000 people present for that festival, and I was playing before Nikhil. Couldn't understand what was happening. Like 10,000 people moving to your beat. It was kind of phenomenal. Like it was once in a lifetime experience. Like it was great. Like that's what gets you so addicted to like playing music, is like getting people's reactions and how they groove. But it's just a matter of time, like when you forget about that and you're so in love with your music that all you want to do is have a great mix without like, looking at the audience. Like I wish sometimes I could just like stare at the audience and like gauge their expressions, but it's always from the after movies and like from like looking at pictures, how people really enjoyed that night, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you said that you played with Nikhil Chanappa, and as you also said that you had been managing artists and organizing festivals for Above and Beyond and Nikhil Chanappa. So could you share some of your stories, or how did you get to managing such big artists, and how do you gauge your experience with them?
So as I said, like my parents wanted me to get a day job if I wanted to pursue DJing as a career. So I figured out a way to get into a music conference. If I remember correctly, the music conference was called the Exchange AVA. It's a music conference organized by Submerge itself. And I just ended up going for that conference without knowing how to work in the music industry. So I heard various panels and I heard Nikhil speak, and I was completely like blown away. Like that guy has accomplished so much in his life, and I was just like, I just want to have a chat with him and like talk to him about how I can like get my foot into the door. I remember I was approaching him to like talk to him, and he was surrounded by a lot of people at that time, and I was like, fuck it, man, like I don't think I can do this. And I was like headed my way out, and I was just like, if I really want to be in this industry, I wouldn't care if he just thought that I don't know anything or like I have no experience, but he would be happy to guide me and help me get into the music industry. As I said, like I had no musical background whatsoever. So this was happening at like one of a very famous chain of restaurants, like we all have heard, called the Socials. So I just
Yeah.
like bought myself a shot and I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna do this. I'm just gonna go up to him and like speak to him and like figure out a way how I can get myself a job. I still remember when I went up to speak to him, there was someone with an open-ended question, and he was like, if you want to be a music producer, figure out a way to educate yourself about music production. And like this guy had no idea about how to like get into music production. And I was doing a lot of research at that time about like various number of people who taught that particular genre. And I just like interrupted the conversation and I was like, you should like look at this guy called Zohib, and like he owns this studio called Audio Cube, and Nikhil knows him very well because they are like somewhat best friends. And Nikhil totally like brought me into the conversation, and he was like, if you want to know something, have knowledge like this guy, and like it'll totally help you. And that just got me into like a good place to start my conversation with Nikhil. Like it was just a luck factor. And I expressed to Nikhil that I want to learn about artist and tour management, and I've been doing a lot of research, and I can really like benefit an artist's career if I'm given the opportunity. He was like, why don't you like shoot me an email about how you can like help artists? And I just went back, I worked on an email, and I was just like, does an email really justify what I'm trying to do? So I started working on a presentation of all the artists Submerge was managing. And I tried to like create like 3 or 4 bullet points under each artist, and how like, make those artists more successful. How can we like get their music into places people have never heard before? So this was not as easy as it sounds. There were multiple back and forths on the email, but eventually I was called in for an interview, and after I presented my idea, I was given an internship opportunity for 3 months. I completed my internship program at Submerge, and then I was offered a full-time job. So that full-time job was of an artist and tour manager. So I was taking care of bookings of various artists on the Submerge roster. And Submerge creates a lot of international tours like Above and Beyond, where we did like a 4-city tour. So I was like a tour coordinator. I was coordinating with the manager of Above and Beyond and the artist and trying to make sure their entire tour is comfortable. The benefit of this was I was getting to spend time with bigger artists and understanding how the industry was working. And like I was getting more experience of watching how artists perform and how they play shows, which could indirectly help me and as a DJ as well. Because like as a DJ, you want to see how an artist is responding to the crowd. And I was totally getting that with this day job. So it like complemented each other in a way. And yeah, and like Submerge was doing a lot of international bookings, so I started like plugging myself in as an opening act, like the same 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. sets when there's no one, but at least I was, like kind of getting my name out there and trying to like get as much time possible behind the console. I remember like there was a show in Pune. I was traveling with Nikhil for that show, and I was given the opportunity to play an opening act because one of the opening DJs couldn't make it to the set. And Nikhil heard me play and he was like, "This is fantastic." And like, he gave me an opportunity to play for his online radio show. I worked really hard for that set. I still remember like I went down for like days and days and days of like listening to the music. And like, like there's a lot of difference between being a DJ, there's a difference between like being a DJ and he plays the music what the crowd wants versus you being a DJ and curating and being like a tastemaker. Like you're creating music what people will like. So that was the route I wanted to go in. Like DJing was never about just making money, playing at weddings, playing the same songs again and again. Like I eventually did that like in the start, but I never wanted to pursue that. Like I wanted to be a tastemaker in music and introduce people to different genre of music. Like I was totally into like deep house and like melodic house and playing very ambient and chill music. So that worked very well for his radio show. Along with like getting a lot of exposure, Nikhil made me a radio manager for his online radio show. And we got like a bunch of international artists in the same vibe, like Syke Samfeld, Nora and Pure, and all these big international artists to play guest mixes for Nikhil's radio show. So eventually, like I was really happy with the place I am because I started getting recognition. My family was more supportive, and at the same time, working at Submerge, I was getting that exposure no other DJ would have thought of getting. So it was like totally like a dream come true.
I could keep hearing you all day talking about such experiences. I just want to ask you, what are the projects and some experiences that you have been working on, like in the past few months, or that you've taken up recently? Anything interesting that you would like to share with us?
Yeah, totally. So right now, my position is of a marketing associate. Like I said before, I am working at a modern record label. We have access to artists' streaming data from Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube. And what we do is like we prioritize streaming data to build a large engaged fan base and maximize revenue for artists. So some of my responsibilities are like tracking reports, including like compiling weekly artist updates, creating artist marketing pitches, and formulating strategies to maximize revenue for artists. The project, what I'm working on right now, is Petit Biscuit. He's this French artist and has a global smash called Sunset Lover. The artist has about 1.5 billion streams across his catalog, and the song Sunset Lover itself has more than 750 million streams.
That's a lot.
Yeah, like he's great. And he's just like 21 years old, so he's not saturated at all, and he has so much of good music coming this year. So I'm really excited and like really like glad to be a part of his team.
Amazing.
That's amazing, man. It's like you've reached a position in your life that very few have a mountain to. So, would you call, like you said, you have been to Berklee College of Music. Uh, so, what would your recommendation be to these new budding artists? Should they be going to a Berklee College, or should they be going to doing what you've done? Like you've worked so hard and you've practiced so much, and then the amount of effort you've put in, the amount of research you've done. What would you suggest to them?
It doesn't get better than Berkeley. Like, I'm sure we all might have heard about the various incredible musicians that every year come out of Berkeley and like who have been playing different types of music. It doesn't have to be like electronic dance music, but like regional music, like jazz and like a bunch of genres. So as a
Mhm.
musician, it's their dream to be trained at a school like Berkeley.
Mhm.
So what I did after I was at a good place in Submerge and I started DJing as well, like I was really intrigued by these international artists who came to India to tour. And I was just trying to understand, how does this work? Like, why are we paying so much of money for these international artists to come and play music in our country when we have so many incredible talented DJs who can
Mhm.
play the exact same music as these artists? And I was not convinced. Something within me was not completely satisfied. I was just like, I want to understand this industry in a better way. And I started looking up for like programs which taught you about business and less about production of music. So, like, since I was working on the business side of music, I was more interested in learning how the business works. So in my batch at Berkeley, we had like 40 students from 30 different countries who made it into those course. And this course was called Masters in Global Entertainment and Music Business. So this course was a good combination between wanting to learn how to create music and understanding the business aspect of music.
Mhm.
My main aim was to get like a well-rounded global perspective of the music industry, and that's exactly what Berkeley helped me achieve. So like students can choose between three concentration, like either events, concerts, festival organizations, entrepreneurship, development of new business, or management in the recording industry. So like you can specialize what you want to do, at the same time get total insight about the music industry, if that makes sense.
That does.
That
But
opens a lot of doors. That's what I
And
can say.
another thing I would like to add to that is like, we have like 40 guest lecturers coming to Berkeley every Friday who are like top level execs and CEOs of companies like UMG, Warner Music, AWOL, Cobalt, Sony Music. So like you're getting like hands-on experience and learning from the best people. So if you want to get into the business aspect of music, Berkeley would definitely be my number one recommendation.
I'm sure people are looking forward to that now.
Great.
Yeah.
I love it. It's a great school.
Yeah, but you just mentioned about you being surprised by the reaction of the crowd when some international artists would come over here. So what I wanted to ask you was, now that you spent enough time over here and over there, what is the main difference between the music industry in India and in US?
There are a lot of things, and I won't get like really technical, but there are many aspects to them both being different. In USA, the economy runs on entertainment and music, and the government is very supportive towards those industries, and they have like a kind of a fiscal advantage. And if like imagine like the government of India pumping a lot of money just towards entertainment, it's obviously going to make that kind of industry outshine. So like there are multiple advantages being in the US, but like in India, we don't have a music industry. We have a film and a Bollywood industry.
Yes.
Artists in India like make music as per the script of the movies. Like in USA, if like a producer of a movie likes Justin Bieber's song, he'll go up to Justin Bieber and be like, "Can I use your song in my movie?" But things like this don't happen in India. It's always an artist, like take of the biggest artists who make music for movies, write the songs as per the script of the movies. So that's why if you go to see, we don't have like a Justin Bieber
Yeah.
equivalent version in India, because artists are never given the freedom to be artists, but like they're bound to the script of the movie.
That's true.
So, like, the film industry is the only channel that can reach the country's 1.3 billion population. Artists don't have as much freedom to explore and be creative as compared to the artists in the United States, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but then what I would want to ask you is, I'm pretty sure you would have, like, in your time when you were DJing over here, you would have had found some glitches or something wrong with, like, something that you would have preferred for the Indian music over the US music. Is there anything like that?
Uh,
When it comes to the technicalities of the song or anything like that?
the output of the music really depends upon the recording studios. And it's not like India has bad recording studios. It might be not as good as the ones compared to the United States or London, for example, but like the quality is not really bad. So the kind of music what we listen to, even like a Bollywood music, is really good music and it's really good quality. So the quality really doesn't matter. It's just a particular style people have, and India has its own style of music, and the West has its own style of music. So I don't think quality really matters. Like both produce equally good quality of music.
That I think answers pretty much it, yeah.
So, Rohin, so since a lot, since I've passed out in 2012 and I had some friends, I think you might have played with one of them as well. Um, Everybody, when they saw DJ, they wanted to become, they wanted to become a DJ. They thought DJing is cool. And what advice would you give to these younger generation, for pursuing the music or disc jockeying from both financial and statistical aspects of making into the music industry?
So what I would say to every kid, what everyone always told me is like DJing can never be your main career. The biggest of the DJs have like multiple revenue streams. Just thinking about being an artist in today's world, you have to have solid business skills and be super talented in your craft. So you have to, I can't like stress enough, but you have to always have a backup. And the good part about being a DJ is that there's no age limit to being a DJ. Some of my favorite DJs are like 50 plus years of age. So you have enough time to break in as a DJ. Focus on what you're passionate about and like DJ and produce music until you know that the world is ready for the music. You can always have a career on the side and DJ at the same time. And like today, like how many other DJs we have like are catering to weddings, are catering to fashion shows, are catering to bars and clubs. So it really depends upon what your interest is. If your interest is like just going out there and playing at weddings and like you just like to see the spirit of people, you just want to entertain everyone around you, then yeah, that's your calling. You do that. But like if you want to like create a brand of yourself, you want to be like a hardware like a Tiesto or like a Major Lazer, like you have to not just think about how can I just go out there and DJ every night, but it's more of a process where you think about your brand, you think about what music you want to put out, and like it's more of branding than just DJing, if that makes sense.
Yes, yes. Actually, I
Right.
wanted to ask you one more question. I know it's gonna sound very stupid. I just wanted to know what is your mindset when you're playing, and if somebody comes in between and is like, "Can I make a request?" Does that come in between your, like when you're playing, and if somebody comes like, "I want to make a request," I want to understand what happens. Like, are you all actually happy about it?
Some people are DJing to make the audience happy. So they would be happy to incorporate any suggestions they get from the audience. But when I was DJing, and this was like really clear with Submerge as well, like if I am going to like DJ, it's going to be the music I want to put out to the world because I want to be a tastemaker. I don't want to play those five repetitive tracks every DJ is playing. Because first of all, what's the difference between you and them if you're playing exactly the same music? Like,
Correct.
I was trying to play a very different and very niche kind of sound, which has become really big today. Everyone's listening to like deep house and techno. Everyone wants to play that kind of music. But I
Mhm.
was doing this like 5 years back when no one had any idea. Like people did have idea, but people of our generation were still very new to it. So I
Mhm.
was trying to like, be a tastemaker in that genre. And sometimes you get to like play what you like, but sometimes like you have the promoters and the club owners behind your back being like, you got to play what the audience wants, or like people are going to go and like we're going to like lose out on revenue. But like for me, it was more of a art than about earning money. And like I always tell people that like if you're in it for the wrong reason, if you're in it just to make money, if you're in it just like go out and party every night, it's not a long lasting thing. You're never gonna like make something out of it. You're always just gonna do it for a hobby and like eventually get
Mhm.
out of it, because it's not something like if you're not true to your art, like it's not something you will be able to be consistent with, if that makes sense. Like you
Yeah.
won't be able to give it your 100%.
True. True that.
Yeah. So I did notice that you spoke about branding and not just about going and playing out over there. So I wanted to ask you, for artists who are like newcomers over here, what should they do in order to gain some global recognition and if they want to make it in the music industry globally? And also, other established artists which are there in India and globally, are they welcoming to the newcomers, or do they just have to struggle all their time?
So that's a great question. So I'll answer to the first half first. In future, the jobs that exist today are going to be greatly different from what they are today. So to work in like music marketing in future, you can't be a specialist in one thing, if that makes sense. The future jobs in the music industry will be for people who have multiple viewpoints, like just talking in terms of marketing, understanding of human beings and the way they consume music, like the different psychologies of people and how they like their music is really important to know. Is like, because in India, if you go to see, 50% of the consumption is Bollywood, rest 30% of the consumption is regional music and folk music, and like the rest like 10 to 20% is your international artists and your international music. So it's really important to understand the trends in the music industry. And like you can't be like, I know music marketing and I'll be good at it. Like you have to understand different angles which go into like, like marketing a track. Like if I want to like put out a Bollywood track, I need to know where do people listen to this kind of music. If I'm putting out an international track, I need to find out the right channels to put out that music. Answering the second bit of the question now. So like I started off in the music industry without any family background. So like artists being supportive towards new artists, it definitely depends upon you. It all comes down to like how badly do you want it and if you're willing to do the work. Like you have to like be totally committed to it and have no expectations of it working out. When I was DJing, like I had no idea I would ever reach this position in my life because I was just so happy and content. And I've always felt like you learn more from disappointments than you do from success.
But if, let's say, if I want to pursue music industry, what would be the ABCs that you would recommend me to learn first before I actually step into it? Like the very basics, which anyone should have had mastered.
I mean, like, knowledge is super important. And, like, as I said, like getting into Berklee, I never thought I would get into Berklee. Like, I was not a very like bright student in college because that was not my focus. Like, I was a very average student and my grades were not that good. And like when I was applying to Berklee, my parents were like, we don't think you're getting into Berklee. It's just a waste of time because they really look at your grades. But what I feel in the music industry is really important is to have solid experience. Like work experience is as important as your grades. So like the minute you start like completing your studies and you think like you want to enter into the music industry, you work for like 2 to 3 years in different angles. Be an artist tour manager, be a booking agent, be a festival curator, be a club promoter, but you gotta like understand how different aspects of the music business work and how they connect with each other. Once you have like a good work experience, is I would definitely recommend, like for me it worked really well, so I would definitely recommend looking at music business courses. And if you feel like this is it, this is my calling, I want to pursue this, after you've worked in the industry for some time, then you go and you get like a master's degree. And how that master's degree helps you is it puts you in contact with all these people. Like if you remember, like we just spoke about these 40 high level executives coming to Berklee and like talking about how their industry works and how their company works. It's
Yeah.
just like putting you in direct contact with them. So when you graduate and you come out, you already have those connections, and like you're in Berklee with 30 different people from different parts of the world, so you're making your connections right away. Like you don't have to be traveling all around the world to make these connections. So it's really important like to have those connections, and it's really important to have work experience in the music industry. And last not the least, like you have to be true to what you're doing. Like if you want to be successful in the music industry, you have to have no expectations for it working out, and you have to just like continue loving what you do every single day.
Yeah.
Pretty great. Yeah, really.
Yeah. That was a great talk, Rohin. We are really glad we had you with us on this call today. We are sure everyone viewing this must have gotten a much better insight of how the music industry works and a lot of answers as to what to do next, what do I do now, and I'm sure they would have loved this entire video of yours. And we're really just happy to have you over here with us.
Yeah.
And to everyone who's seeing this, if you have any queries, please do hit us on the comments below, and we'll try to get back to you as soon as possible.
Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to MCT Podcast, and keep a lookout for more such content and for more such videos. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Yeah.